Hi everyone, Shireen here, and welcome to day 4 of the Daily Creative Challenge for Adobe Premiere Pro. For those of you who are just tuning in and joining us for the challenge this week, the Daily Creative Challenge for Premiere is a week-long challenge to level up your video editing skills. Now, before I tell you a little bit more about today's challenge, pop into the chat and let me know where you are tuning in from. So let's go on over to the chat and let's take a look at who we've got joining us today. We've got Tim and Valdair, Robert, hello everybody, hello. So good to see you all joining today. Now, for today's challenge, if you want to join in and you're just tuning in today, you can go to behance.net/challenge/premiere and press this blue button up here that'll say, hi, take the challenge. And you can get notifications every day via Creative Cloud to join this challenge. And you can also join our community chat over in Discord. So if you just press this blue link right here that says community chat, it'll take you to this link where you can be invited to join the Discord. And then once you join, the Discord looks like this. So over here on the left, you see you have all these different channels. So we're mainly going to be in challenge under feedback. And this is where you can post your daily challenges, receive feedback from me and the community. And you can also introduce yourself down here in introductions and check out the other channels as well. There's Ask a Question, Tips and Tricks, Career Advice, lots of really good stuff over in the Discord. So if you want to access the starter files for the challenge, these are basically video files that I've provided so that you can edit along. You can scroll down and you'll see the day-by-day challenges. So if you just press get started on any one of them, it'll take you over to this page where you can either copy these to your work, so it'll save it over to Creative Cloud, or you can hover over these 3 dots on the right, press it, press download, and individually save them to your computer. Now over in the chat, I see we've got some more people joining in. We've got Paloma from DC, we've got Misty, Gerard from upstate New York, Steve from New Zealand. So good to see you all tuning in. Hello. So yeah, if you haven't downloaded these files, go ahead and do that. Now for today's challenge, we're talking all about audio. So we're going to enhance your audio using the essential sound and effects control panels. So let's dive into Premiere and let's work on some audio. So this is where we left off. We've color graded our footage, it's all good to go, right? So now we can deep dive into audio. If you want, you can go over to the audio workspace and access the essential sound panel from here, or you can add it to your own custom workspace that we created on day 1. So I'm gonna go back to my custom workspace, and if you want to add in the essential sound panel, if you don't already have it, you can go to Window, look for Essential Sound, and then press it, and it'll just add it to your workspace. And of course, you can drag and drop it in wherever you want. So we're mainly going to be working with an Essential Sound. You don't necessarily need to worry about that other panel that we had in audio, which was the audio track mixer. We're not going to touch that today. So let's go back and let's work out of Essential Sound. The first thing you want to do is choose any one of the clips on your timeline. Doesn't matter if it's the first one, last one, any of the middle ones. You just want to pick any one. And next you'll see once you choose that clip, it'll give you an option to assign a tag to your audio. So the options are dialogue, music, SFX, and ambience. So for this one, this is dialogue. So we are going to choose the dialogue tag. Now, once I press that, I have all these different presets essentially that I can go in and toggle on and off and adjust. So I can either go down one by one and change all these things, or I can choose a preset. So up here where it says preset, right now it's set to default and everything is at its default value. Now if I press the preset, you'll see I have all these different options. So some of them are balance female voice, clean up noisy dialogue, from the radio, from the telephone, podcast voice. So these are all different effects that you can add to your audio. Now, typically what I like to do for something like this, where I'm just talking to camera, is either choose balance female voice for myself or podcast voice. The podcast voice is cool because it kind of deepens up your voice. I really like how that sounds, but this is all personal preference. You can choose whichever one you think is best. So let's try out the balanced female voice to start, and we'll see what that sounds like. But before I choose that, let me just play this clip for you so you can hear what it sounds like without any sort of adjustments. And that is how to wear a scarf 3 ways. Comment down below and let me know which way is your favorite. So you can hear a little bit of echo, right? Like this is in a big room. The sound is kind of bouncing all over the place, and we want to clean that up a little bit. So let's try choosing the balanced female voice. And let's take a listen. And notice what happened with the waveforms here. Let me just zoom in on this timeline so you can really get a good look at what is happening. So I'm going to press Command Z to get rid of that and look at these waveforms. So previously they were lowered a little bit, right? So when I added in the balanced female voice, they shifted up. So let's see what that did for our audio. And that is how to wear a scarf 3 ways. Comment down below and let me know which way is your favorite. Today I'm gonna... Now that definitely made a change, right? It's much louder and you can hear everything a lot better. So let me just go back to this clip. So right here, you'll notice that as I'm playing this, the audio is hitting around -3, maybe even 0. It's going into the red area and you don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna play this again real quick and take a look at these levels up here. How to wear a scarf 3 ways. Comment down below and let... So you see how it's kind of hitting into the orange, the yellows. You want to try to keep it in the greens, and usually for audio, I like to keep the decibel level around -18. So something that you could do is go in and adjust your clip volume. So down here at the bottom of the essential sound panel, you have the clip volume and you can adjust your level. So you can either just hover over where it says 0 and slide it to the left or right, or you could use the slider right below it. So let's try doing -20 and we'll see where that puts our decibel levels at. And that is how to wear a scarf 3 ways. So now they're hitting around -27. So that's a little too low. So I'm going to try to up the level a little bit to bring it back closer to a -18. So let's try -11 decibels and see what that does for us. And that is how to wear a scarf 3 ways. Comment down. Much better. So now it's hitting around -18. So again, for this, the level is now set to -11.4 decibels. In the chat, I see we've also got Dorina joining us. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. So this is basically what the balanced female voice does for us. It just enhances our audio. But let's try the podcast voice and let's see if you can hear the difference. So I'm just going to let this play. And that is how to wear a scarf 3 ways. Comment down below and let me know which way is your favorite. So that definitely deepens the voice, right? Like the audio sounds a bit warmer. It has that kind of like podcast host voice. Now for this one, I think I do prefer the balanced female voice. Let me know in the chat if you prefer that one as well. But let's say you want to go through and do everything from scratch. You don't necessarily want to use this balanced female voice or any of the other presets. So let's go over to this next clip, the previous clip rather. And let me just contract the timeline a little bit. So we're going to go over to the clip before it. Now again, we are going to assign the dialogue tag for our audio because it's dialogue. And let's go in and one by one start changing around these different levels. So the first option that we have is loudness. If I press it, it'll give me an option to auto match. So this will automatically match clips to a standard average loudness for dialogue. I'm just going to leave this the way it is. I'm not going to do the auto match. I'm going to jump into repair. Now within repair, you have all these different options. And if you don't necessarily know what these mean, that is completely okay, because if you just hover over the text, it'll tell you what it does. So for example, if I hover over where it says reduce noise, it'll say identify and reduce background noise. So let's turn that on. By default, it'll be set to 5. So let's see what kind of a difference that makes. Is to loop the scarf. So you're going to begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. So it sounds a little bit too much for me. Like it almost sounds like I'm underwater, right? So I'm going to reduce the reduced noise by just dragging down the slider. Let's do something a little bit more subtle. We'll do maybe around a 1.5. So now let's listen to this one. The last way is to loop the scarf. So you're going to begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. Okay, that is definitely much better. I think we can reduce it a little bit more. So let's try going to 1. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it. And I'm gonna lower it even more because I'm still hearing this kind of like underwatery sort of effect that I don't really want. So I'm gonna do 0.5. The last way is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Much better. Can you hear that? Let me know in the chat if you're hearing that difference. The next thing that we have is the reduce rumble. So this one is to reduce low frequency sounds and plosives. Now, if you're wondering what a plosive is, it's essentially that popping sound that you hear when you say anything with the word P. So for example, if I'm saying popcorn, the p, that sound, that is a plosive. And as you're talking, you likely don't realize that you're making these sounds unless you're hyper aware of it. So thankfully, Premiere has these options for us to quickly be able to take those plosives out of there. So if I turn on Reduce Rumble, by default, again, it'll be set to 5. So let's take a listen. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. So it's basically just cleaning up our audio. The next option that we have is dehum. So this will reduce hum sounds caused by electrical interference. Now, in my case, I don't need to worry about that because I didn't have any sort of fans running or anything like that. But let's just take a listen to see what this will do for our audio in this case. So let me just turn that on and let's press play. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. All right, so that's not really working out for us. We don't need that effect. It's just making it sound not the way it should. So I'm gonna reduce the dehum, or actually I'm just gonna completely take it off. The next thing that we have is the S. So this is to reduce harsh S-like sounds. For example, like you know how before we had the plosives with the P's? This is your S sounds like Slytherin, like the S, like a snake. We don't want those sounds. So we are going to reduce those by just checking on DS. And again, by default, this will be set to 5. So let's listen to that. To loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. All right, that's great. And I definitely need that for this video, right? Because I'm saying scarf like a million times. So we want to DS as much as possible. The next thing that we have is reduce reverb. So this one will essentially just reduce the reverb from recordings. If I turn this on, let's take a listen and see what that does for us. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. So that right there made the biggest difference of all so far. It really just helps to make your audio way more clear and sound like you're talking directly into a microphone instead of that microphone being so far away from you, right? So that really helps to clean up the noise, especially in this sort of environment where it's bouncing all over the walls. That audio is just not being contained. So reduce verb is saving our lives right now. The next option that we have is clarity. So this gives you the ability to change the dynamics. This changes the impact of a recording by compressing or expanding the dynamic range of a recording. So let me turn this on, and you'll see on the slider, it has 2 different points, right? Like it has natural over here on the left and then focused on the right. So let's take a listen. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. So this is making my audio sound right now at the level of 3. It's again sounding a bit too like underwatery, so I'm gonna shift this more towards the natural side, and let's go really subtle again. Let's just do 0.5. So let's take a listen. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. You know what? I'm gonna take it down even more. So let's do something even more subtle. Let's do 0.3. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. Much better. So the next option that we have is our EQ. So if I turn this on, this will adjust the frequency response of your recording, and you have these presets again. So right now by default, it's set to background voice, but I don't want that. I want to either do maybe the subtle boost for female, maybe the podcast voice. So let's try out the podcast voice first. And you'll see right below it, you also have an option to enhance your speech. So based on your voice, whether it's a high tone or a low tone, you can choose which one it is and it'll enhance your speech. But I'm gonna leave that checked off for now so that we can compare and see the difference that makes. So let me just let me play the podcast voice for you. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. And all right, so that's our podcast voice again, sounding like a deep podcasty voice sort of vibe. Let's try the subtle boost for female. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold. Do you hear that difference? What a difference between the subtle boost and the podcast. The podcast just definitely sounds warmer, and I really prefer it for this case. So let's choose the podcast voice, and I'll play that again so you can really hear that. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. Beautiful. So now let's turn on that enhanced speech. So I'm gonna check this on, and I'm gonna keep it set to high tone. And let's play that. Is to loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. Amazing. So it's basically just making it a little bit louder, more clear, better to hear. So definitely going to keep that on. Now, this is the fun part. This is where you can get into your creative audio options. So if I turn on this reverb effect, and again, this is just going to add reflections and reverberation and make it sound like that recording took place in a particular sort of room or environment. So you have these presets. One of them is a large reflective room, but you also have these other really cool options like an auditorium, church, outside the club. And these are cool because let's say you're working on a video and you have a scene that's taking place outside a club. You can add that sort of audio effect afterwards without having to worry about recording the audio with that sort of effect. So let's just pretend real quick that I'm outside the club with my scarf. And let's listen to what that'll do for the audio. To loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. And so it's kind of like echoey, right? Like, kind of like you're in the hallway outside a club or something like that waiting to get in. But obviously that's not what we want here. But it is a cool option. Now another one is the auditorium. So let's listen to that one. To loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. This takes me back to elementary school. I feel like I'm in the like lunch hall or something, and somebody just came on the speakers and is like, I don't even know, like whatever announcements they would make, you know? That's the vibe that's giving me. Obviously, don't want that. Let's try the church one. To loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. This one is also like bouncing around the audio, making it sound like it's in a church, essentially. Let's try to do the warm room. To loop the scarf. So you're gonna begin with your scarf. Again, just fold it in half. And you are going to make sure that both sides are even. Now, that definitely sounds so far out of the ones we've tried, the best, but I'm thinking I'm just not gonna add a creative sort of effect to this because it really doesn't need it in our case. So I'm gonna check off this reverb. Now in the chat, I see Darina says, working with sound is a whole nother world. It really is. And I know that it can be really intimidating to work with audio because it just seems like there's so much, like all this terminology, right? Like DS, reduce rumble, like there's so many things. But the great part is that the Essential Sound panel makes it really easy for you to go in and essentially work with presets and sliders. Whereas before, it would be a little bit more hands-on. So this really simplifies the whole audio editing process. So love that. Now, Theo is saying that reduced noise is really effective. It really is. Do you see what a difference that made? Obviously you don't see you here, but you know what I mean. It's great. In the chat, I'm also seeing Robert is saying, I have never used Essential Sound Panel. Boy, am I missing out. Oh, I'm so happy you tuned into today's challenge so that you could learn all about the Essential Sound Panel because there is so much goodness in here. It's really great. Now, the last thing is the level of the audio, which we adjusted for that first clip that we edited, right? So let's listen to this real quick, and let's just make sure that our audio is hitting around a -18 for the decibel level. You're gonna have this side right here, which is gonna be loop, and then you're gonna have the rest of the scarf here. So right now it's peaking at about a -12, meaning that's the highest point that it's hitting. And I do want to lower it a little bit so that it's not getting into close to that red zone. So let me lower this volume ever so slightly. Maybe we'll do -5. And let's let that play and see where it's hitting now. Make sure to hold it by the center and put this around your neck with the loop opening on one side. Okay, so right now it's hitting around like a -21, and I want to bring it up just a little bit so it's hitting more -18. So let me just bring this back up and let's do -3. Let's try that out. Then you're going to take these two sides and just pull it through your loop. Much better. So now it's hitting around -18. Sounds good. So let's say you've made all your adjustments and you know that this is the kind of effect you want to add to the rest of your audio. You could go in and just individually do the same thing to all of your clips. So you could just go over, choose your clip, choose dialogue, and then toggle back and forth between the clip that you edited and this one to see what levels you set everything to. But what if I told you there's an easier way? You don't have to do all that and make it so complicated for yourself. What you can do is right-click on the audio track that you already edited and you know you want to apply to your other ones. So in our case, let's say we want to go with this clip right here. Not the first one that we edited, let's say we want to do this one. So I'm going to right-click and then I'm going to press copy. Now from here, I can go over and then go back to this clip, the one before it, and then right-click and press paste attributes. So now you'll have an option down here. You see where it says audio attributes and then essential sound sections. By default, it's choosing all of those effects that we added. So the loudness, repair, clarity, creative, clip volume. So I can just add all of these to that clip, but I'm going to turn off the video attributes because I'm only worried about the sound here. I'm not trying to edit the video necessarily. So I'll just make sure that all of these audio attributes that I want are selected, and I will press OK. So now all those effects and changes that we made have been added to that clip before it. And you can tell that the effect has been added because this box right here on the timeline for the audio that says FX has changed from gray to purple. Now, let's say you want to add that effect to all of your clips. There's an even easier way to do it. You can right-click on any one of your clips and then go to Label. And from here, you're going to press Select Label Group. Now, this is only going to work if you have all of your audio clips that you want to change set to the same label color. So in our case, this works perfectly fine because they're all set to the same color, which was, let's see, I believe it was Iris. So now from here, now that you have them all selected, you can right-click again on any one of the clips and then go back to Paste Attributes. And just like before, you're going to make sure that within audio attributes, all those effects that you want are selected. So all of the essential sound sections: loudness, repair, clarity, creative, and clip volume. And then we're just going to press OK. So now take a look at that. All of our clips have been changed. The audio has been added now, like the audio effects. And if I go through and I play this, you'll see the change that has made to the audio. Today I'm going to show you 3 ways to wear a scarf. The first way is super simple. You're simply going to open up your scarf. Do you hear that? Automatically, just like that, so easy, you have now changed the audio for all of your clips. So definitely try that out. And again, to do that, you're just going to press any one of your clips right-click on it, choose copy, and then right-click again on the clip, go to label, select label group, and then right-click again, paste attributes, make sure your essential sound sections is selected, and then press OK. Super easy, that's all it takes. So make sure to edit your audio, drop them over in the Discord so we can check them out, and I'll see you back tomorrow for day 5. Thank you all so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.